Hey guys, it's Patrick the Pitch Deck. We have AB2 Katsu for round 5. I hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, so we're going to be here with round 5 on Katsu, AB2. Sometimes it's a toss-up between AB1 and AB2. I've even gone against AB3 Katsu, and you can just kind of punish that one slightly harder because then they just don't know what to pitch. But when it comes to Katsu, it's kind of like value blocking if you are playing more of a tempo game. I think you still bring Spellfire Cloak if you are forced to go first, because then they win the die roll and they force you to go first, but I still am okay with Spellfire Cloak because I am going first with this one. We're only seeing lesson A's plus Tome, but I can't just do Tome, keep the Bear Blue and get Wildfire because he's on AB2. So I have to pump it, but I don't want to into myself. I want to get a little bit more extra resources if I can. So here we toss out the TOA for Crucible, and then we do Gaze, of course, for the lesson. So it's a way to just like cycle a little bit of our bad hands here. We'll just go ahead and search Wildfire. Mark this one in Arsenal. And this Katsu is actually a Kano main, so he kind of understands and knows the Kano side of things and knows the matchup. If I'm not mistaken, he said he's using the Arsenal pass tech for Kano, which was reviewed by Mask of Momentum, which is Peter. He uses that list for Icelander because of attack actions and things like that. So we have Kanos have a different styles of decks for sure. But here we're going to try and consider all of our options, not just debate about going Psycho second turn here, which is a really good plan because we have natural combo here. So because we have a natural combo, we're just considering not blocking depending on how dangerous the turn is. So we go with a dagger, not too threatening. With this dagger here, and then we consider a Soul Beast Strike, which isn't crazy because it's not a starter, which is like Surging Strike. So it's not something that we have to calculate for Bond's turns. And he is at 38, so our natural lesson line is 38, but he's got 2 floating currently, so there's some choices that we have to think about as well. We get a Rags and then things like that, or a red off of Rags, and as well as the 2 floating. It's gonna be a little bit odd, but choices to consider as Kano is a lot. It's plentiful. Let's just go ahead and say that. So he tosses out the Ancestral to go 1 over. So he drew the card, which is fine. Now he's making a decision here. Guess I can't, as a Kano man, you know what Kanos can do. I mean, honestly, no one knows it better than people who actually play the deck and knows the power. But here he comes in with the E-Strike for 7, which is 2 floating. I'm at 24. So I'm just gonna be taking it to 17 if I don't do anything. So there's some consideration here to keep the tempo up of tempo play slightly, and that would probably be considering, oh, maybe I can block with 1 blue card here on the E-Strike and then toss Lesson for 3 and then Spindle for 4 off of the search, but I can't do that. I realize later on you'll hear me say, true. That means I just realized I can't play that because he's AB2. He would just AB2 the lessons and then it goes down to 1. I can't search it. So might as well go for it. But there's a spell safe because you can just use Crucible of Aetherweave instead of your boots if you happen to get a red. Also grab those. So perfect, we see a blue off the top, which is what you want. Max damage, which means full buff on everything. We'll go ahead and toss out the Wildfire. Make sure everything is good. Wildfire will come in for 6. Lesson will come in for... It comes in for 6 for the wildfire, but then he'll just drop it down to 4. Which, of course, instead of 38, it's going to be 28 and drop him down to 10. But if you didn't have anything floating, it'd be exactly lethal.
Yeah, everything checks off, so 6. Coming in for 6. I'll AB the 2 on that. No action points, so I came for 34. And then in response, I'll pay for Metacarpus node. So 4 plus 3.
So when we take the 7 from the E-Strike, we'll be down to 17. It's not going to be too crazy for this to keep up with this because since he doesn't have an arsenal, it's one of the things you have to consider. If he's already got an arsenal and he does this, but he keeps the arsenal, there is still potential for him to kill you next turn because you have to take a reset turn whenever you do your combo. So you have to get a little bit of damage back at him and then come back to his turn, so that way you can get more damage in and possibly kill him. But when we draw up, we got a pretty good hand to sort of go off. So and it's not always the case, but you can kill on his next turn. Sometimes if your hand doesn't line up, you may just have to take that reset turn. Okay, so like I mentioned before, we got Eye of Ophidia, which is a pretty solid card to start off. And like I mentioned, there can be some pretty powerful turns. This is one of them, starting off with a red Surging Strike. It's a consider not to block it. There's like theories on whether you should block it or not because they have so many type of gust waves now that they can just have it automatically. Maybe 12, I think, yellows and reds. So we let it hit. He discards a card. And then he searches up Descending Gust Wave. No, Whelming with Gust Wave. Yeah. So Descendant isn't going to really give me any cards, give him any cards here. So Descendant's going to make me do it, which means that he's probably got bonds lined up as well. So that's something also to calculate. So Eye showing us 2 perfect cards that go in harmony with each other. We're looking to banish both of them. So we're going to just let the Tome banish, as well as go ahead and banish the Ace of Ages and just respond to it. That way we kind of like guarantee that we're going to get some blues for this turn. Gotta punish a little bit. And we've actually got some beef to our hand as well, so we can probably do damage and block at the same time.
I'll keep them both.
Kind of tone his turn down while we keep pressure up. Which is perfect because we just get 4 blues. Chain lightning would have been great. Just chain lightning this flare off. So we see Prague, not too crazy. We're just basically a 0 for 1. I think it was Prague. And it's worth flipping again because we can just flip and then pay and then double block. I mean, a 0 for 1 ain't really gonna do it because he has one floating, if I'm not mistaken, from the Surging Strike. And in a time like this is the best one. So we do a Emeritus Scolding for 5 on his turn, which is going to be pretty beefy. Here we'll just shoot him. We'll take the AB1 for that. And then go ahead and send this Emeritus Scolding for 5. Double blocking is nice because if you do calculate the card he can draw plus the damage of 4 here, so we're down to 12, so that means it's 8. If we calculate pawns, that's another 4 plus an additional 4 from whatever's in the graveyard or possibly draw. So if you think about it, we're saving maybe 8 life instead of 4 life here because of whatever could be drawn. There is like you can probably just get like ancestral, but the value of blocking this goes pretty good, especially because if we don't block this entire turn, there is the mass trigger as well. So this turn can get out of hand really fast.
Calculating bonds in your hand, so I'm just gonna block 6 here. 3 arcane. Yep.
So of course he has the bonds. So here he actually searches up Lord of Wind. I think that's what it's called. It's basically just 2 damage instead of 4 damage, which I thought he was gonna go for Soul Bead Strike. I'm not sure what Katsus are running, but I'm guessing a red 2 block isn't too crazy for value, so maybe it's only just a 1 of in some Katsu decks.
Everything checks out.
And then moving on. Now let's get to the blocking part of this. This comes from 3 go again.
He's down to 5 and I'm down to 6. But we can land a nice 2-coster, which we did. And we actually have 2 options here. Actually 3 options, because we have option number 1, which is playing Spindle, option number 2, which is playing Boom, and both of those require double blocks, and then keeping the blue for both of those. However, we can, depending on his turn, of course, we could probably triple block and then save the snapback for Arsenal. So we're sitting really good right now, depending on how his turn is. So right now he's leading off with a E-like water, which is not bad. Right now it's not bad. So this turn looks like it might be, I'd rather have an op over high rolling. So let's go ahead and just toss out this Sonic Boom right now. But no, it's just an E strike for 7. Again, there's consideration to just use the snapback, or there's a consideration to go for blocking 6 and then taking 1. So we'll both be at equal life total, and then just park this snapback and Arsenal. Both of them really is good decision. I end up taking a slight better play, I think, in my mind. I want to be able to opt and send damage as well. No, we both at 2, that's right, because I did send 3. No. Okay, so this is when I do send 3 damage, because he can only AB2 the Spindle. So this is lethal. He'd rather AB2 it, which is, you don't AB1 unless you have no blues in hand, but it's still pretty rough. So we're both down to 2. The AB2s. I'm opting 3, so I'm seeing 2 blues plus Wildfire, which is not really what I want to see for Wildfire, so I'm gonna just go ahead and bottom that. I want blues to be able to just kill him on his turn next turn. I want to max resources as much as possible. We bottom that. Try to find something juicy for his turn. So we see 3 blues plus a yellow, which is pretty good. But we see 2 no blocks, so it's worth it to go ahead and go. But this doesn't kill us here. This is double strike.
Well, this doesn't block.
Because we're at 2. Technically it does. I mean, it'd just be banished and come back. But we see a red flare. If he was at higher life, it wouldn't have mattered. So we see a red flare for the win. And we're able to pull it out because the tempo game is nice against Katsu. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That is Katsu for round 5.
Kano to Kano, that was good.